Hey, what's good, people? This is episode 63. This is Sports Debate Tuesday, and the episode starts. You know it, Rob, right now. Everybody's working for the weekend. Let me tell you something. They worked for this weekend, and the people that had to work this weekend, they don't earn that buck like a mother, dude. This is episode 63. This is Sports Debate Tuesday, along with my man, Rob. Keep it McLean. McLean, I am yours truly. This is Jason DeBeers. Got a lot to talk about. Sorry we missed you last week. We're definitely going to catch up on some of that stuff. But the cool thing about last week and this week is though some things are different, Rob, some things stay the same, right? From 2 weeks ago up to this point, beach volleyball teams are still in Cancun. The best teams in the world still remain in Cancun for the second tour. Trevor Lawrence is still going to go number one. Kamaru Usman and Valentina Shevchenko are still champs. And as of this podcast, as of this pre-record, the Knicks still haven't lost a game. The Knicks on a nine-game winning streak. So we got to see a ton of great matches from MMA. We got to see a ton of great matches for beach volleyball. Basketball was blowing up this weekend with some marquee matchups. The Nets played, the Suns played, the Knicks played. LeBron's back. But let's go to first things first. Rob, topic number one. The Brooklyn Nets blew the doors off the Phoenix Suns this weekend. Durant scored 33 points in 28 minutes. And Kyrie put up 34 points. And Harden, he just enjoyed the view from the bench. Now, on Saturday, the Knicks blew out the Raptors, I believe 120 to 103, which is their third consecutive win by double digits, making 9 in a row with Randle putting up 31 points. And RJ Barrett, not too shabby, put up 25 and 12. You like that? I like that. Rob, the question is, you're going to lead this one for me, and I'm going to lead topic two. The question is, who is the bigger story in New York City right now? Is it the New York Knicks? Or is it the Brooklyn Nets?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely the New York Knicks. The only thing that the Brooklyn Nets are a story about are they going to get healthy? When they got Blake Griffin and then LaMarcus Aldridge, and then they didn't have LaMarcus Aldridge, all this just ridiculous non-basketball talk. They were a big story, but it's just because their potential. James Harden's still out with the hamstring. You're barely getting Kyrie on the court whenever he's available. But when you talk about the Knicks, you're talking about real basketball. First of all, finally, we got some lefties in the league again. We got Julius Randle, lefty. We got RJ Barrett playing like he's a top 5 pick again, lefty. And then you have, a couple of good pieces around them. They're playing good, tough basketball. All you really need to do to play in the league, to be competitive, other than having those great physical traits, is to play good defense. It's not that hard to be competitive. Like, you don't have to win games necessarily yet where they are, but you need to be competitive defensively so that you can bring people in and you can build a team. So they're on the right track. You finally got somebody scoring the basketball on Julius Randle, triple doubles, 30-point triple doubles. I love what the team's doing. I just think they're a better, more, just a healthy basketball story. When you're talking about the Nets, it's just like absolute chaos. Basically, the Nets are now the Knicks. They were what the Knicks were for the last, 10 years. Just absolute chaos and craziness.
Watch your mouth.
Hey, you could say what it is. The Nets have not done anything great in their entire franchise before J. Kidd. And then, other than that, they really are just hoping that this season brings them championships, because if it doesn't, right, they can compete offensively. But if something doesn't go right for them, like they break down defensively, somebody gets hurt, and they only got 2 of the 3 guys, they have chances of losing. If they don't win a championship, it's a failure. So they're big, huge bust, or, make or bust. And then, the Knicks are just a building team. And the fact that they're in the news the way they are, fantastic. So I'm going the Knicks.
Rob, keep it McLean. Drama makes the world go around. Anybody got a problem with that? Thank you, Limp Bizkit, because when it comes to stories, there's nobody that's going to have a story every damn week more than my Brooklyn Nets, okay? Kyrie Irving, it's not a matter of if there's going to be some drama, it's a matter of when, or what's his story going to be this week, or what the hell is this guy up to next week? James Harden carried the load. Now he tagged off to his partner, just like WWE tag team partner Kevin Durant comes in, puts up 33 points in 28 minutes, and before that put up like 25 points in 25 minutes. The dude is 6'11", 7'6" wingspan, and when that guy shoots, he shoots to kill. Now, with that being said, they have played, to my knowledge, they've only played, the three of them have so far in all of these games have only played a total of 10 games together. And they're still in first, and they still have the best record. And I agree with you that anything other than the finals appearance, if not a finals win against the Lakers, who are going to be just as prepared, is a failure. In fact, I think them not beating the Lakers is a fail, right? But as to the question of what's a bigger story, as opposed to what's a pass or a fail, I go with the Nets, but it doesn't mean that I summarily dismiss the magnificent story, your New York Knicks. Rob, I call them yours because I can't. I jumped off that ship. I can't jump. You know, right? Yeah, come with that same energy, Jay. Can't jump back on. Your New York Knicks. This is a New York Knicks team I envisioned when Amari Stoudemire was putting up 29, and then Dolan got in the way, or someone got in the way, because they wanted Carmelo Anthony. And New York was excited about Carmelo Anthony. I, as an avid Knicks fan, was like, no, maybe Carmelo Anthony next year, because what you have right now, leave well enough the hell alone. They're playing defense. I remember Woodson, right? Coach Woodson is a defensive guy, and New York loved Amari because New York love blue collar players who put up numbers the more than they love stars that put up that plays, right? Why do you think Eli Manning is more revered than Phil Simms? Phil Simms won a Super Bowl where he was 23 for 25, Super Bowl MVP. Eli Manning threw a duck up in the middle of the air that landed on someone's helmet, and maybe recency bias has more to do with it, but New York loves people that play defense. It's not the level of Pittsburgh when we're a defense first town, that kind of thing. But they're in that conversation. Who's my favorite team, Rob? I'm from a different age group. 1994 Knicks, 1993 Knicks, 1999 Knicks, because those guys made sure the flagrant foul was well earned. They made them teams like that. New York loves guys that will make you pay for your basket, okay? Because like you said, the last 15 years, it was like everyone was just dunking. All right, give him the dunk. I don't want to foul him and give him the dunk too. But no, sometimes you got to send a message. Tom Thibodeau got these cats playing defense. R.J. Barrett, who's still a relatively new player, right? Second-year player. You can coach him like he's still at Duke University. He's not like... They don't have these strong personalities where you have to cater to them more than you have to cater the ways to win, and that's why they're such an exciting team to watch. Right? Sometimes you don't really want a team of all-stars, because when they implode, they implode. Which is why I will say the bigger story is the Nets, because the Nets right now, when they have 2 out of 3, it's still enough to be the best team in the East. And when all 3 are going to play, not if, when all 3 play, I think their chemistry will be instant. I think they have a coaching staff that makes sure they don't get in their way or get in their own way, and they are my pick to win the finals. So we're going to resurface this question when the playoffs come, because both teams look like they're in it. And the Knicks at the 4th spot might even play in the second round, unless they just keep winning in house of 3, which would be great, because now that may be, who knows? I mean, who knows, right? You got the Heat, who can be spoilers. You can't ignore Greek Freak. But Boston Celtics, still a well-coached team. Philly 76ers start. Fast start, mediocre finish. So maybe we have a conversation later on repair on that one. But for every single reason you said is the Knicks, I say the Nets Plus, drama makes the world go around.
It's true.
They always in
And
the news, man.
honestly, with the Lakers being in the 5th seed right now, I don't even expect them to be, I expect them to be maybe 3rd seed by the time the season ends.
Yeah, with
They're
LeBron
still going to
back,
have to face. They're still going to have to face a well-rested, presumably, Utah Jazz team. They're still going to have to face, some pretty daunting teams in the West, and also depending on who comes out of the, the 7 to 10 team playoff.
Well, right now with the Nuggets ain't going to beat the Lakers without Murray.
Nope.
Even with,
and I think that's
even
going to
with
be
Murray,
an
that's
easy,
a challenge.
right? And I think that's going to be an easy game in the playoffs. And I don't. Depending on what the Lakers get, maybe they luck out and get the Nuggets, in the second round. The Nuggets take their first round team out. But, the East is, the reason why we don't talk about, the Nets anyway, other than when they put up ridiculous numbers, because the East is boring. When you get to some playoff basketball in the East, it gets more exciting. But that's what I'm saying is I feel like a lot of the players on the Nets, first of all, they're not going to be coached to playing defense. And this is my biggest thing about the Nets is that D'Antoni, first of all, Nets head coach, young head coach, D'Antoni, he always has teams looking amazing in the regular season, amazing. And then it comes playoff time and things slow down just a little bit and people tighten up just a little bit and he cannot adjust and respond. And that's the mentor behind the young head coach at which we're heading for in that, playoff position. So, very, very, I think it's going to be just a really interesting idea here that they're creating. That what I think they think is that you stick Kevin Durant in the middle of a defense and he's going to be able to, affect shots like he did at Golden State. I just don't see that. I don't see that to the end of the season and then into the playoffs. You get a Joel Embiid banging bodies down low, there is nobody on that team that's stopping him. I'm sorry. It's not DeAndre. It's not KD. And that's not even in the finals. That's in the conference finals. You know what I mean? So I think they just have a long road ahead of them. We'll see what happens.
Isn't it amazing that just the East has become a bigger story this year? Because the crazy thing is, if you remember pretty much all the way to the last decade, you have teams from the West who have winning records that are like in the 9th and 10th spot trying to get to that 8. And then in the East, you got guys who were like 4 or 5 games below 500 who are the 7th spot. And right now, I think for both conferences, you only have one team in the 8th spot for both, and every other team from 7 up has a winning record or better. So Spurs on the outside looking in, one of my favorite teams, still well coached, and then not a lot of star players there anymore, but still well coached, and they're in the 9th spot trying to look out. And then the Knicks are 4th, right? The Miami Heat, talk about well coached teams. Talk about how like if you got a good coaching staff and a good game plan. This has always kind of been my volleyball argument when people are talking about taking care of their side of the net. I'm like, okay, good for you. That means you're only going to lose to the teams better than you and beat the teams you're better than, or you could do some real freaking work. Although taking care of your side of the net means a lot of stuff off the court too, right? You control your own workout, how many sprints you do, stairs, and all that stuff. So I get that too. When I had this little debate with John Mayer about that, Coach John Mayer out of LMU. So. Wow. We're gonna re-explore the NBA back in quick question, but right now let's go to topic 2. Rob McLean, what an amazing night of fights. Okay, we have a new strawweight champion. All right, Valentina was Valentina, and Kamaru kept his word when he said he was gonna finish Jorge Masvidal. For the first time, yes. Masvidal didn't get knocked out since 2008, and all telltale signs showed that he was near impossible to knock out. We had a fighter win a fight without actually throwing a strike. That was Uriah Hall, and we're definitely going to talk about that later. But let's start with this. With so much to talk about, with so much spillover in the subject matter, let's start with this, and I'll go first. This is the question. Which title win impressed you the most? Rob, I got to go with Thug Rose. With 3 title fights where a wrestler got housed by a striker, Valentina Shevchenko, where a guy who's impossible to get knocked out got knocked out, Jorge Masvidal. I go with the fight that I thought was going to be a drag out, a takedown avoiding 5-round war that I thought was going to be a 5-round war with Weili Zhang and Thug Rose, as Daniel Cormier would say. So I was like, say it with me, Thug Rose, Thug Rose. So head kick, knockout. Once again, for the second time, for her second title in 115 pounds, that's the strawweight division. For the second time, she's a champion, finishing in the most unlikely way where fans and experts thought she would finish. The first time she did it, she dropped Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Joanna champion, twice. And then the second time she dropped her, finished her. And this one was just it snuck in. It came in, dude, it wasn't even like a question mark kick. It came in through the armpit. It came in through the armpit and caught her exactly where you needed to get her. You know, almost looked like a flash kick. And whew, I got to go with Thug Rose. And she's such an emotional person. And just watching the interview with Thug Rose, Joe Rogan said he almost cried. This chick's going to make me cry or whatever. And that's what she does. Because she's like, hey, come on, let's use our money and let's help the poor. Come on, guys. Let's stop hating each other. Let's give each other hugs. I mean, just one of those things after someone wins and they say something like that. I'm like, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. So in a pay-per-view where top to bottom was already stacked going in, on a pay-per-view where every single match met our expectation except one, which was just grossly not predicted, and the operative word being grossly. But from the prelims, you know, respect me some Randy Brown, boy. Put some respect on my name. Boy, he was mad. We could talk about that later.
He looked good.
But for now,
there.
before we talk about Randy Brown, because I know we want to highlight other matches. Rob, that's my title win or title defense that impressed me the most on Saturday night.
Yeah, for me, because I think back to it, and you know, when you're going down the list, you know, I thought that, like you were saying, Weili and Rose was my, you know, probably my biggest surprise. I thought they were maybe. It was interesting to me that they were the second to last fight of the night.
Whoa,
right?
Hold on. Did I just beat you to the punch?
No.
Okay, sorry.
I just had thought it was interesting to me that was the second championship fight as opposed to maybe the first championship fight of the night
Or third.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like I mean, that's true too. I mean,
Wow.
but I think Kamaru Usman and Masvidal just got too much press for it not to be
100%.
the one. And I still wait for that day where it's a really good, absolutely, you know, top level talent co-main event with men and women's, like a true co-main event. Because I still feel like this was like an upper level fight for, you know, the welterweight division, you know, where there was a lot on the line. And I really didn't hear a lot about Shevchenko and Andrade. I really didn't hear like a lot about, you know, Rose and Weili. You know, I knew that the fights were coming on, but it wasn't really pushed like, you know, let's say like an Amanda Nunes fight. But again, when I thought at the fights in the beginning, I knew Usman and Masvidal was going to be a great one. And, you know, that's why it came out second to me. But my biggest surprise, honestly, when I look at it, was Shevchenko and Andrade, because I thought that was such a difference in styles. And, you know, Shevchenko coming down a little bit, Andrade kind of, you know, being at a larger size, but it's still shorter, you know, kind of duck and dive.
She was
around,
large,
you know,
large
a
for
bigger
strawweight,
person.
so you knew she had a shot.
And you know, she got power, and that's kind of thing that can beat any championship, you know, or any champion, is that sneaky power. You know, they come inside, they just, hey, I'll take your shot, but can you take mine? You know, kind of like a Matt Serra type of fighter. And you know, I thought that was kind of what the fight was going to be. But man, Shevchenko just absolutely. I thought like she cut off all her limbs, and you know, she just left her there on the mat just to kind of like be there and take the victory. Like she just took out all of her tools. It looked like Andrade was kind of just like, what could I do? You know, and then Shevchenko just did her thing. So I thought that to me was the most impressive, because I thought it was going to be a much more competitive fight. I honestly thought that Wei Li would be able to beat Rose. So that was the biggest surprise for me. But I thought the most complete victory that night was Shevchenko over Andrade.
That crucifix, dude.
Mm.
That
She
crucifix.
does
I
that
had Matt
every
Hughes
fight.
flashbacks, dude. I had Matt Hughes when Matt Hughes fought BJ Penn, and all you could see was the head, and just it looked like a head severed off the body, and just someone just pounding on a head for lunch.
Yep.
That was I've never seen her lumped up like that. And eventually, she was taking the punches too well. So Joanna was like, "How about some?" I mean, Valentina was like, "How about some How about some elbows then?" And that's when
Hmm.
the referee's like, "Whoa,
This is
okay."
not right.
It's look, it's she probably could have taken more, but why would you take more? And a very good referee stoppage because it was what we call a checkmate position. You're checkmate, and and sometimes to get in there and save the day, man. The refs got to go in there and save the day, man. They really got
Yeah.
to go in there and save the day. Um, I think she's great for the UFC, and they need to get behind her and promote her as much as she can. That little dance that some people consider corny, I think is cute as hell. I think that dance is cute as hell, and if she does that every time and followed with the triple twist, the Demetrius Johnson thing, kind of whatever. Except Demetrius Johnson does it a little bit better. No disrespect
Hmm.
to Valentina, but this is someone you could get behind, man. Her English is really good. She's very very pretty. Her in civilian clothes looks doesn't even look like an MMA fighter. She looks not recognizable, because you think kind of butch when you think her, in the cage, and then you see her in civilian clothes. I'm like, how you doing? Speaking of how you doing, for a woman that shaves her head, she's fine as hell too, man. Doug Rose, Rose
Hmm.
Nama Units. Also good for the UFC. Get behind this girl, man. Get her. If she wants to raise money, if she wants to help kids, get behind her, man. That's good for the sport. Don't just get behind people that can knock people out. Kamaru Usman. Minds his
Get
P's and
behind this
Q's, man.
guy.
He is a politically correct champion that is very much like Khabib. And here's the comparison that you'll agree with. Very much like Khabib, that he was a decision machine until he became champion. Since he's become champion, he's been knocking people out or finishing people. Khabib Nurmagomedov was a decision machine until he became the champion. Since he's became the champion, not one fight went to a decision. Finished Justin Gaethje. In fact, finished him in a way that he thought wouldn't hurt Gaethje. That's how freaking good he was. Finished Conor McGregor. Finished I forget his Dustin Poirier rear naked choke. So yeah, these are the guys you want to get behind. Before we go to the prelims, who's next for Kamaru?
Tomorrow, man. Uh,
I
yeah, I
save you
know.
the time. Kobe Covington, man.
I mean, yes, of course we want to see that, but it's funny that he even said it like he's gonna just lap people. He's coming around the track and he's just lapping people.
He's
So he's gonna
he's
take some
lapping
fights
Leon
on
Edwards.
twice. Yeah, I want that Leon Edwards. Absolutely,
I think is he fighting this weekend?
Leon.
I think he's fighting this weekend or next weekend. So I mean, if he gets on the mic and says what he has to say, and if
Mm.
Kamaru's taking time off to be with his daughter, let's have a true number one contender, right? I mean, Kobe is 1-1 since his title. He lost the title match, and then he beat Tyron Woodley via head into the ribs and cracked a rib. Very dominant performance. I mean, the guy can fight. I don't like him, and he ain't wearing that MAGA hat no more for reasons appropriate. But very much like a MAGA guy, where he thought the match was a rip off. The first one, the stoppage was a rip off, but.
Right. Oh, it's the early stoppage. Like you have
And
a
the whole
broken
time he's like,
jaw.
"I broke your face. I
Yeah.
broke your face." We
Yeah.
just need to hashtag that, dude. We just need to hashtag that. Kobe Covington, well deserved. But if Leon Edwards gets on the mic, he's a quiet dude. But if he gets on the mic and has something to say after he wins, I actually don't not see Dana saying, "Hey, these guys are both fresh. Kamaru's gonna be out to probably October. Maybe make a fight in July. It's April, dude. It's April. It's gonna be May this week. Make a fight in July. Both of those guys are ready. 8-week training camp, plenty of time, right, dude? I
It's
mean,
true.
so yeah. So prelims. from the early prelims where those women from opening bells came in and looked like Diego Sanchez and Clay Guida just punching each other in the face, all the way to our man on the prelim main event, Cowboy Oliveira against Randy Brown. Randy Brown is that Jamaican that don't like that talk nonsense, dude. You know, and we're both from New York, so we know there's two kinds of Jamaicans, Rob. There's a Jamaican that says, "Give me that." You know, give me that. They're like, do you want mustard? No, wrap it up. Wrap it up. I know, blood clatter. No bomba clap mustard. No. Or the other Jamaican says, may I have? That's the one that's got some etiquette. But those guys, that etiquette holds on by a thread. If you come, and I met enough cool, raised right by your mama Jamaicans where if that have a little rude boy in them, if you're rude to them. And man, he didn't say nothing. He just made a mental note, and everybody's like, oh, he shouldn't have like said F you after the match. And I'm like, no, super necessary, dude. Someone disrespects you like that, and it's okay for them to do that, but it's not okay for you to put a little sauce on them when you beat them. No. And you know me, I don't like sore winners. I don't like that, but I don't like people. You know, there is a Schadenfreude in me that delights in people who who come with that energy, who get what they deserve. So,
absolutely.
Thoughts about the match, how it finished? The way he cracked him, dude. He cracked him and then got basically a one-arm submission. He tucked the chin in. Did you see it? His other arm was isolated. He got it around the neck, and instead he didn't have his free hand to lock it, to do this or to do this.
Oh yeah.
So he did this with his chin. He did this and then this with his chin. I was like, I've never seen that. Tapped.
Yeah. While he's on his back, while he's standing, he's doing all this. Yeah, he was
the cowboy got ridden.
Yeah, he was beating him on his feet, and then clearly he can handle himself on the ground. So
dominant.
It's pretty great performance. I don't know. I haven't seen Oliveira really fight that much, but
I seen him fight the other Cowboy. I saw Cowboy versus Cowboy. That was a pretty good match. I saw him fight at 155 against Will Brooks, and that match didn't end well. But there was always some drama with him missing weight. Like I think he missed weight at 155 3 times, and he was 3-0. In those fights where he missed weight. So that kind of fighter, as nice as you are, kind of rubs me the wrong way. There's some stat out there. I think like fighters are like 24-3. The fighters who missed weight are 24-3.
Yeah, because they're not worrying about freaking cutting weight. Cutting weight is the worst possible thing you could ever, endure.
But it's like 50% of your job, right?
Right.
Just show up on the scale and make weight. Yeah, to some people, they're willing to forfeit a third of their purse because they know if they win, they still move up in the rankings. The rankings don't say you don't deserve to move up because you missed weight. They just don't go that route. That's not how they go. So, but tell you what though, how about forfeits of their purse?
Mm-hmm.
Dana gonna be like, pays to make weight. Big up to Dana, first full capacity crowd. Jacksonville's a little wild, but that's what they promised, and the people that have a problem with it. I'm not gonna lean politically on this, but the people that don't feel they should be there, stay home, and the people that were there, man, just kind of stay amongst yourselves and maybe herd yourselves out. So yeah. Again, we're going to have a lot of that in quick question, but let's go to beach volleyball. We're going to beach volleyball for topic 3 because it is our wheelhouse. Rob, topic 3, beach volleyball. I bring your attention to Cancun, Mexico. Where am I? I'm supposed to be reading my prompter. All right. Cancun, Mexico. This is the second of 3 4-star events that happened over the weekend, with the finalists and semifinalists actually playing right now as we speak, as we're pre-recording this broadcast. Sharif and Ahmad out of Qatar will play in the finals against Mullen Sorum, which we both agree is the best team in the world. Yes?
Yeah.
Yes. Magrazuvova and Svetlana Kolomina will play Agatha and Duda, who have been on quite a tear. Sometimes Duda is like doo-doo, and sometimes Duda is like dude. April and Alex, they're playing for the bronze to see if they can get on the podium. So, Rob, question. and you are going to answer this question internationally. I am going to carry the water for us and answer the question domestically because you're an active player, and I know it's uncomfortable for like other players to talk about other players, but me, I could deliver the tough love and still be respectful, as you can. I'm not. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. So the question is, let's go one at a time. There are three questions. Which teams played above expectations? Which teams played below expectations? Or which teams played exactly how we expected? I'd like to start first. The American teams that I felt played above expectations were Trevor Crabb and Tri Bourne. They did lose in the second round, so I know they wanted to go further, and I know they're trying to play catch up with Phil and Nick. But with that being said, when you consider the pool they had Lupo, Nikolai, and Lupo in the first in their pool. They had Krasilnikov and Stoyanovsky the first round. And then they have Mullen Sorum, which they lost back-to-back 21-19 games. And I mean, it was very, very important for them because they know, unlike some of the teams there, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but unlike some of the teams, know in their heart of hearts they can win a 4-star. They can win the whole thing. And I suspect there's some teams that they're playing and they're like, you know what, we're not favored to win, but we'll do the best we can. No, Tri and Trevor. And I don't know if it's a chip on their shoulder, because Tri's kind of a cocky dude, but they believe that they can beat the best teams in the world, and they're out there showing it. And I love their mentality. They're like, there's no try. Like Yoda says, you either do or do not. Highlighting Miles Evans and Bill Kalinsky, didn't make the qualifier, but country quota, big win. The tournament before, big up to my boys, Kame Shock, who plays in the wind like probably better than anybody on the tour. That man was like, he embraced it. I was like, he looked like he's playing indoor. And of course, Theo Brunner, who is a great partner for everybody, very interchangeable in terms of giving up control or taking control. So he's a great partner to have in that respect. If you need him to take control or give up control, and we'll talk about the levels of control later. But Rob, who's your international? Who performed above?
Well, I mean, you got to give it up to Sharif and Ahmed. I just think they're the most improved team of those upper echelon or the Olympic qualified teams. They're playing, out of their mind. The defender is he's always been smooth, but he's picking up just every ball and he's putting a lot of steam on it. Jump serving great. Sharif, they're running like a little bit faster tempo. Sharif's got all his swings down. He still can't swing line the best, but he's just carving the angle, shooting a little bit. They look like a really, really solid team that, when Olympics come around, man, they could definitely be world beaters. Be right in that medal conversation at the end of the day.
Nice. Yeah, and I love how they ran a play. They ran like a fake back set, and I had a highlight clip which disappeared. Sharif passed and then was moving as if he's going for a back set and stopped and went right back. And the blocker kept moving for the back set. He had nobody up. And that ball, of course, it hit line. There was nobody up, so he put it in front of the defense. I love that. So which team do you think performed below what you expected them to do? This one, I'm going to give you the floor first. And this is a challenge.
Yeah.
I think Nikolai and Lupo were probably expected to do better, but I don't know. I'm covering.
Yeah, well, it's tough because it's a 4-star, but it's really, has the top talent of a 5-star.
It's a 5. It's a de facto
it's a 5-star, but it has the lower end of the teams. It could be a lower 4-star, maybe even a high 3-star. So there's I feel like there's just like a large pool of teams. You see it on the men's and the women's side. So I wouldn't necessarily say anybody played, terribly.
Nah.
I would have expected
Not
more, maybe out of a couple of the Brazilian teams. One seeing on how well the women's teams did, especially in like this is their Brazilian style of ball. This is perfect for them. Deep sand, lots of wind, tough plays happening. You got to adjust the ball a lot. Not everything systematically, not everything systematically done. So I just think that I would have loved to have seen, George and Andre maybe perform a little better. But it's nice to see Alvaro and Bruno, not Bruno, Alvaro and
Yeah,
I can't remember his name
Bruno.
right now. Alisson
Alisson, yeah.
in that quarterfinals, pushing Mullen and Sorum to a pretty tough game.
No, that was semis because I think they played. They just played for third. They just played for third right now as we speak. In fact, while you're talking about all this, I was trying to see if I could pull it up. Brazil versus Italy, bronze. Yep, they play for the bronze. And honestly, since we're doing this right now, I want to see if I can see who won. Let's see if we can find out who won. All right, so Brazil's up 1-0. Yeah, Brazil 1-2 up. Brazil 1-2 up. April and Alex are playing right. So for me, my American team that performed below expectations, this might surprise people, and some people it won't surprise at all. I got to go with April and Alex, okay? Alex Kleiman and April Ross, to me, are the best team in the world. If they're not the best team in the world, they're 1A, okay? It's been them in Canada for a long time, and Rebecca, and who's Rebecca's partner again? Barbara? No, who is?
No, Rebecca
Patricia.
And Anna Patricia.
Right. They're world beaters on any given day, and even on their worst day, they're going to be in the playoffs, second round, third round. So I have them affectionately in third place. So for me, anytime Alex and April is not in the finals, winning or losing, particularly in the 4-star tournament, which we kind of agree is a virtual 5, considering the talent. So they will say the same thing I'm saying now. If we're not in the finals, winning and losing, it was an underachievement. So consistent with their own, I'm playing mind reader here, and then maybe someone's going to be like, oh, don't tell them what they're thinking. You can't read their mind. I can kind of read their mind on this. They have expectations to win the gold. They have expectations to finish strong. And finish strong means winning these tournaments. So when they don't win and when they're not in the finals, they perform below the expectations. And the week before, they making second round, dropping 2-0 to the Australians, was what anyone will call a disappointment, from the fans to the coach all the way to the players. So not casting any aspersions on them, and at the same time, I'm not being nice to make nice, because you know me, that's not how I'm built. I'm not disrespectful, but I'm not gonna like only say a bunch of nice things to try to get in someone's good graces, because one, I feel like I'm selling out. 2, I probably won't be in their graces anyway. I mean, they right? I'm not. So that's not how I operate. But sorry, enough about me. Below expectations, got to go with April and Alex. Now, which team or teams performed exactly how we expected them to? I'm going to go first on this one, and you go second. All right. As far as the American teams, everybody else. Everybody else, Clay's and sponsor, right? They made the quarterfinals, which I knew if they performed lights out, that would be their maximum result in a tournament like this. On any other 4-star, they might be in the finals, but we all agree this isn't your daddy's 4-star, okay? Who else? Stockman and Kalinsky, they performed exactly how I want. I thought they'd split and pool and go to the playoffs. This time they didn't. This tournament they didn't. Evans and Kalinsky, I knew they'd make the country quarter, and I knew they would hit or miss as far as qualifying. If they got in, I mean, that's exactly where I thought they would be. Sarah Hughes, Emily Day, qualifying, I didn't think they were going to qualify. That's exactly how I expected them to finish. And again, for the players out there who are too sensitive, this is a volleyball podcast, and we got to talk about, I'm not attacking players personally. I'm attacking volleyball players with volleyball, right? I might have said something mean about April, but the way she performed in that second set, she got aced and got blocked a lot. And I said, oh my God, this is horrible. And someone was like, oh, you're saying April played horrible, like she's responsible for losing this match? I'm like, no, on this stretch where you expected her to do better against a team that they were favored to beat, there's this and that. So my answer as far as the American teams, playing the way I expected them to play. Phil and Nick, yeah, I thought they'd make second round. And if they ran into Mullen Sorum, they would lose. Which, by the way, I thought was their best performance of the year. The first Cancun, the one that went to 3 sets, that was that was as good as I've seen Phil and Nick play in 2 years. Which is a testament to not only how good they can still be, but a testament to how dominant Mullen Sorum are, because that was Phil and Nick's best, and it still wasn't enough. Big up to Kerry Walsh, who overcame a bad call on a serve that was out that the refs called in against Patricia and Rebecca. Still found a way to win. And I don't know the extent of Brooke Sweat's injury, but she wound up taking balls on the ground, just down balls, or Kerry kept optioning, and Kerry just looked gassed from trying to option. So don't know what her injury is, but that could be qualify shattering if she can't go next week or can't go whatever her injury is. So, Rob, internationally, who performed, highlight one or two teams that performed exactly how you thought they would.
Real quick, though, did you say that she got injured or that she, just because she was optioning, like she was just trying to shove the ball up to
No,
to
she
Carey all
was
the time?
optioning because she couldn't jump or wouldn't jump. That's all I know.
Oh, really?
All I know is whenever there was a ball out of system, Kerry set her. She couldn't jump. She stayed on the ground and tried to down ball, tried to just like hard drive or whatever and this and that. And everything else that was in system, Kerry was optioning, which worked for a little bit. But I mean, after a while, it started to look like a drill, like an endurance drill.
I got to go back and watch that because,
Yeah.
man, I must have missed that because I watched a bunch of their
That
games.
was against the Chinese.
Yeah, internationally, who did I think stayed the course? I mean, honestly, I was really surprised with, kind of how bad the showings were for the European teams. Again, like we were saying, like I thought the Brazilian team should have probably showed out better, but everybody's got different things going on with COVID. And, Brazil is not the best place right now when it comes to COVID and whatnot. So, yeah, I was pretty surprised. I'd say overall in the tournament, even in the first Cancun, how difficult it was for people to really adjust. Whether it's just the type of training, whether it's that every single event is basically never on a beach. It's either in Qatar or it's in, Germany or it's in Poland or it's in, it's like Cancun, one of the most beautiful stretches of beach. I honestly, half the time I was watching the games, I would just have the games on the TV because it was so beautiful. So, it was one of the best venues I've seen in a very long time.
Did you see those
talking about
waves, dude?
the waves, the wind, so
Gnarly.
all of it, yeah. But my man, that was just like a crazy, crazy, crazy trip.
Yeah. For me, I got to defend the players on this one because sometimes when the fans, because those guys on YouTube post and some of those guys are just off the page, like the YouTube chat or whatever, which the event was pretty much exclusively on YouTube. Some of them are like, oh man, these windy conditions are really messing with her game. It's really, really hot. Oh, they only lost because they're tired. And I don't like that because it looks like that the players are saying that. And I'm going to defend the players. The players are not saying that. The players who are training in the U.S., who train in deep sand, who train in these windy conditions, who are supposed to be prepared for this, are not the ones making those excuses. They don't make those excuses. And if they did make those excuses, I'd be on this podcast right now giving them tough love saying I don't want to hear that nonsense, right? You guys practice in deep sand. You guys practice in windy conditions. You guys enlist the best coaches that you can find, okay? And if you're going to walk around with a chip on your shoulder, then you got to get out there and represent and back it up. But the players were not saying that and the players were not doing that. But for the fans that are saying this, I will say this. It's not like when Phil and Nick served across the net, the wind stopped blowing for Mullins or right? It's not like the wind was calm for them, and then when they hit it, the wind picked up again. It's not like the Russians, Kolomina and her partner, have air conditioners stuck up their posteriors where they have this cooling thing to cool their behinds, and everybody else is like dehydrating really fast from the humidity. So I will say the conditions. For the fans who are posting that nonsense, the conditions were the same for all four competitors, and that's why I don't tolerate that excuse of BS. Okay, in fact, some of these games, those conditions should actually give the Americans a better shot at winning. Right? Think about it. Like the best player that played under those windy conditions and the hot conditions was Cam Shaw. He's the elephant in the room because that dude had energy from bell to bell. And there were some players, Qatar, they looked a little gassed at the end, but they have a second win and they look great. They're not carrying a lot of weight too, right? So because muscles need oxygen. But I do not. I get really, really upset, And again, I'm not defending the players to be in their good graces because that's not how I roll. I don't want. I'm not saying that because again, they don't make excuses. They will be the first to say, hey, all four of us played under the same conditions. But for anyone to even suggest that someone lost because of those conditions, when I think, in my opinion, those conditions help them win, might help them beat a team that they're not favored to beat, is unacceptable. And I wanted to get that off my chest because this is a fan-driven podcast and a lot of professionals do listen to this. I can highlight, anyone whose last name is Crab, anyone whose first name is Emily, or anyone whose first name is Kelly, except for maybe one.
Right. Well, but just to piggyback
Please.
on that, and to bring it to reality, we do have the opportunity right here where we're sitting, where all these guys train at. We do have the opportunity 12 months out of the year, 365 days out of the year to go out there and it not be snowing, it not be so cold that you could actually get sick. You know what I mean? You have the opportunity to get out there each and every day. And, you need wind? Go out at 3:30. This is why I have to agree with you, because there is every opportunity to be a world beater in your skills in this area, because you have everything you could possibly need to be better at beach volleyball. That's why here it is, in a sense, the mecca of beach volleyball for American volleyball, because you have everything you could possibly need to succeed here. You have the weather conditions, you have the deep sand, you have nets galore, you have talent. So there really is always a missing link.
They're recruiting good coaches, right? They're recruiting good coaches from all over. I mean,
right.
Hell, I'll do it. I'm right? And for no, because I got a lot of blowback by people making illogical arguments. Oh, you can't say that person played poorly. Oh, you can't. Or have you ever played? That's my least favorite one. Like you have to be a chef to know if if steak tastes like shit. Come on, get out of here, okay? But to answer that question, yes, I have played, and without getting into my long resume, the last two years alone, since 2018, I helped one team win an AVP title in San Francisco, one player, that is. I helped one team get into the qualifier who tried 7 times he couldn't, and I helped a head coach win the WCC titles. So, I mean, as far as me being in the game and knowing the game, I think my resume speaks for itself, and I feel uncomfortable even selling that. In fact, my wife is gonna smash me for even talking about myself. She hates when I do that. I hate when I do that, and you hate when I do that too. So I apologize. All right. I was trying to find out who won FUDS, and no one would tell me. But I'm like, okay, no one wants to tell me who won FUDS. Fine, bye. We ain't gonna talk about it. But of course, my boy Evan Corey phoned in. I didn't interview him. I'm not going to bother him every week, for Christ's sakes. He won with Travis Mewhirter, J.D. Hamilton, who's everyone's favorite nice guy. And I don't know who the outside hitter is, but this dude, they just kept feeding him high fours. And
Cody Caldwell.
Cody Caldwell? That's who his name is? He is a beast. Cody, man, come see me. Come on this podcast, dude, because I want to know who you are, and I think the fans nationwide need to know who you are. I mean, I'm not saying no one doesn't. I mean, because if they don't know, now you know. But for people who want to go on YouTube and watch a match for FUDS, FUDS is 4-on-4, and it was in Florida. It's men's, and it's really, really, I mean, I haven't seen anything this good since Central Park 4s when it was just hardtop before they put the beach courts up, where those Dominicans and Russians would just go at each other.
Watch the semifinal.
Yes, better. That was it. That was what I was going to say. I bring your attention to the semifinals, which was one of the best matches ever, right? It was Rosie, Sean Rosenthal, Jeff Samuels. You had Ed Ratledge, his little gangly self hitting Oppo. David Lee hitting the middle. Ian Satterfield is like a a backup. I don't know. So congratulations to our FUDS winners, and thank you guys for sharing your information with me, because if you share it, well, I'll talk about it. But if I gotta come looking for you and you don't message me back, like Flavor Flav says, can't do nothing for you, man. Running for your life. Yeah, boy. Oh, man. man, did we take a long time to talk about that. But big tournament, look, super necessary. You agree?
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, now that we talked about that, let's talk about our next subject matter. My personal favorite, ladies and gentlemen, I give you to shame or not to shame.
Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame.
Okay, let's see. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do my switch and pause. Sorry, Robbie. What the hell? Let's do that. Oh, look at this. This is what happens when you tech your own show, boys. Rob, I saved this. I pushed this back a week because it pissed me off, and I guess I'm in a shaming mood today. So, Rob, to shame or not to shame? We're gonna do a whole minute on this apiece. To shame or not to shame? Jeremy Stevens at the weigh-in pushes Jakar close. A day later, he had some kind of undisclosed injury and wound up hospitalized. Maybe it had something to do with the push. A lot of people thought the shove was connected to it. It's something to do with his left shoulder and this and that. But bottom line, Rob, shame or no shame on Jeremy Stevens? Or shame on close?
No, absolutely shame on Stevens because, you're not in a fight. You're not in a ring. You're literally just squaring off. And, that's literally, grade school stuff. You're like, what? You're going to push the guy? What does that do? And so it's my problem with what Jeremy Stevens has been his whole MMA career is that he's never evolved. He's still been the same small guy who's going to try to knock you out with every power shot every single time. And he has no control and discipline over his emotions. He's just, honestly, I feel like he puts a bad name on the sport. And I think this is a culmination of the things that he does because I'm not trying to be hard on him, but, he never really speaks highly of anybody else. He's always trying to, put somebody's a bad name on somebody else. And, he really doesn't show out. If he went out and knocked out a couple of people, anybody of note, I'd be like, okay, you can just do what you want to do. But, if you're not good, you can't do this stuff. So shame on you.
Rob McLean. A few years ago when Conor McGregor asked, who the fuck is this guy? That's what the hell Conor was talking about. This is a guy who is physically aggressive, huge primal first chakra issues, like imploded first, where this man feels like right and wrong, the differences between right and wrong can be settled physically. And with that being said, it really pisses me off because Jeremy Stevens, you are in the one profession. If you have a problem with someone and you want to settle your settle your differences physically, you are in the one profession where you are licensed to do so. And what do? You blow it by pushing this guy, and you want to call him a wuss or whatever for backing out of the fight. You caused this. You incited this incident. All you had to do was not touch him. If you have a problem with him, you could touch him up the next day when you are licensed to. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame a fool Jeremy Stevens for doing that. And you got your show purse for that. Shame. 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 All right. Now I'm back. Now, listen, I saved that for a week because I had to get that off my chest, and I know a lot of people agree with me. We got some UFC events coming this weekend, but I'm going to push that back to next week because Bellator has some big stuff coming May 7th. Rumble Johnson's going to fight Yoel Romero. Man, it's going to be – I actually had a picture of the brackets, all right? And I'm going to save that for the end of this topic, which is coming up next. This topic is quick question. Quick question. Rob, quick question. Wrong page. Rob, quick question. Justin Fields can fall to number 5. Do you have a problem with him going to number 5 instead of 3?
Well, he ain't going to the Bengals unless somebody trades back. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I understand he's got a hitch in his throat. He's a project. So yeah, he's gonna go after Mac Jones.
I don't have a problem with it either. I mean, honestly, I didn't even think this was a quarterback-driven draft. I knew Trevor Lawrence was going to go number one, but I didn't think Mac Jones is going to climb up there, and I didn't think Justin Fields was. I'm like, why don't you guys draft an offensive line? I know you don't want to draft a running back the first round because you think they're kind of expendable, but geez, I mean, the guy from Alabama, his name escapes me. He would have been a higher draft than either quarterback, Jones or Fields. So, Rob, quick question: can Miami be a spoiler in one of the rounds in the playoffs?
Sure. Yeah, I think so.
I agree. I say yes. 2, quick question. Jordan set to induct Kobe Bryant into the Hall of Fame. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Thumb sideways. I mean, I know it was like a big thing for Kobe. It would probably be a big thing for him, but why not his family?
I agree.
But and maybe it was put out there and they said it's too much, so who knows?
Well, I think the rare occasion, I say thumbs up because it's the rare occasion Jordan shows his face in public where he has something to say. He doesn't say a whole lot. He's kept his life very, very private, politically, socially, and whatnot. And I don't know if it's a Jay and Silent Bob thing. Oh wow, Silent Bob decides to speak. It's probably going to be wisdom. That's bullshit, you know. But nah, I go thumbs up on this. Quick question: the Nets have only 10 games thus far with their core 3. Is this enough to win the Eastern Conference?
No, it's not. That's what I was talking about before. If you don't have chemistry, real teams are going to beat you, you know, because it's 7 games. So you start to have things show up, and then people start to get tired, and then people start to get upset. We'll see.
I say yes. I think it's enough to win the Eastern Conference. Quick question. Don't know if you saw this a week ago because Bellator's not really under our radar. Homasi versus Daly. Paul Daly, striker against Homasi. I'm going to skip it, but I'm going to say best round of the year, best first round of the year. We'll talk. Maybe we'll talk about that a couple of weeks after Bellator continues to cover their title elimination, their Grand Prix for light heavyweights. All right. Quick question. Aaron Donald is free and clear of assault. The guy said it was a mistaken identity. He and his attorney apologized. The question is, I don't even think there is a question. Should this information, should the court of public opinion wait on some things like this?
Who in the hell had a mistaken identity for a freaking NFL defensive lineman? Who is that guy? Yeah. Because, I mean, Aaron Donald was 6'3", 285. Who in the hell is 6'3", 285 that you accidentally say that it was assault? Like, I don't know, man. And whoever got assaulted that's still alive, good on you. So no shame, just absolute wonder.
Well, the video showed, they actually had video coverage of it, and video showed he was there breaking up the fight. And
my goodness!
And in the beginning, the guy poked at Aaron Donald's shoulder. You know how you like jab a finger in someone's shoulder? The guy jabbed Aaron Donald earlier on in that night in the shoulder, and Aaron Donald turned around like smiling because he thought it was a friend. And when he found out it wasn't, it was like, oh, whoa, who's this guy? And then so maybe they thought that he came back at him from a different level, but it never happened. Video evidence, and I'm glad there's a video evidence because that's BS. And we know nothing good happens after. When it comes to elite athletes, nothing good happens after 1:30 in the morning. So, I'm sure, just saying, bring a friend and have tons of video. Quick question: Alex Smith retires. Smart move, or did you see him having a year or two more?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, if I say a year or two more, then it's like he's got to go to a new team, he's got to learn a new offense, and he's got to succeed, and he's got to not get hit. That's why would a team need a quarterback? It's not because they have a great offensive line for them to put somebody behind. So I just think it's probably the smart thing. Again, he does the smart thing. And, he's still getting money, so it really don't matter.
You're right. Oof. Quick question, Rob. Uriah Hall versus Chris Weidman. Was this scheduled to be a loser leave town match? Loser gets cut.
I think it's more of a, if Uriah really won the fight or really lost, like if it was a good fight, he probably would have retired. And then Weidman, I think it was more of a, earn your keep kind of situation. But now I think they're both kind of in limbo, where you've got a Weidman who's coming back from injury. Do you cut him before he gets healthy? And then you have Uriah Hall. Do you set it up another fight, or is this kind of it for him? So.
My chair sank. So I thought it was originally going to be a loser leaves town match, but I think this gruesome injury probably gives them both a one-off. And I had pictures of it, and I'll probably show it on the edit, but the picture of the actual kick, I mean, tell me every single person watching this match, even the most casual fan, wasn't thinking Anderson Silva. For the people listening, this is a gruesome injury with a leg. If you look at the slow motion of the still shot, his leg was caricaturely bent sideways. Very similar to what happened to a fighter named Anderson Silva a few years ago, ironically enough, against Chris Weidman. Yeah. Gross, right?
I gotta say though, and I wish there was like a strength of schedule or strength of opponent for what's it called? For like somebody's career, because I feel like Chris Weidman has had one of the toughest journeys a UFC fighter has ever had.
100%.
Every single time you see him fight, it's against some high level, upper echelon.
In their prime.
In their prime, he goes to a different division. He's fighting one of the toughest guys in the division. So, really, I would love to, find out if there's numbers on ranking people and then see who they fought as ranked fighters at that time and who had the toughest. Because I feel like Chris Weidman, man, he's had a tough stretch through his whole career.
Mark Munoz.
So I hope they keep him on.
Yeah, Mark Munoz was his prime. Anderson Silva was his prime. Loyola Machida, 5-round war. That was his prime. Vitor Belfort, that was jacked Vitor. Okay, that was TRT
Right.
Vitor. Jacare, a match he was winning, he lost. Yo Romero, when he got caught with that ugly knee, that was a match I thought he was up 2-0, or maybe one apiece. So it was weird because it's not like he's getting smoked these matches. These are matches that he's winning. The only one I thought he really got legit murked was against Rockhold, and our guy that went to Bellator, our God, I forget this guy, Musasi. Gegard Mousasi, who's like an absolute savage. Quick question: who wins for beach volleyball? Who wins the WCCs? I'm gonna go LMU because right now they're ranked number 5. I think they beat Pepperdine in the finals. Pac-10, I think USC beats UCLA again. I think both teams get invited. And for the Big West, I go Long Beach State, and for the South and the East, I go Florida State, and I go LSU, who's a problem. Thoughts?
Man, that's all you.
Have
I
at
don't
it.
know college no more.
Yeah. Here's a look at the indoor brackets for men that are happening this weekend. Penn State's got a playing game against Belmont Abbey. I think we both had Penn State winning that. I think Lewis beats Penn State. I think Santa Barbara beats Pepperdine. I think Hawaii beats Santa Barbara. I think Lewis upsets BYU, and I think Lewis upsets Hawaii. Cool.
We'll see. I mean, it's going to be an interesting little bracket.
Last question for quick question. With John Jones and Cormier no longer in the light heavyweight division, Cormier retired. John Jones obviously moving up to heavyweight. Does Bellator have the more elite light heavyweights? I'll go first. I gotta go yes. You got Romero, you got Bader, you got Anthony Johnson, you got this Russian cat who defeated Phil Davis. Who's all Phil Davis is also I just named you 5 guys that would be in the top 10 at light with Rumble Johnson only losing to Cormier twice. So I gotta go yes.
I mean, I'll make it quick, but I'm just gonna have to say no, just because UFC has really got the pick of the litter, and I know these guys, would they or would they not win a fight? Yeah, it'll be close, but when you go down the list, I think it would thin out a lot more for Bellator,
right,
as it would for UFC. But yeah, when we're talking about top of the list talent, I think that especially because the UFC, just kind of took these guys off the roster. But for the next couple of years, for those like top 5, let's say, for for UFC and for Bellator, I'll probably say the top 5 would beat Bellator, beat UFC, but go to top 15, I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I agree. Top 15 probably isn't even close. But I brought it up because you haven't seen anything like this since the heavyweights, when the heavyweights were in Strikeforce, right? Like 6 of the top 10 heavyweights were in Strikeforce. Right. I mean, you had Cain Velasquez and JDS probably heading up the top or scraping the top, but TRT, Alistair Overeem, Fabricio Verdum, it was pretty deep. Bigfoot Silva was in his prime back then, Fedor. So, so that's it for quick question. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, longer podcast today. I apologize, but volleyball, Cancun, catching up a whole week, super necessary. Before we go, I want to give a shout out to Seydou Ajanako. Seydou Ajanako is born in Ghana, West Africa. Somehow rose up the volleyball ranks there, got recruited to play at Park University, transferred to Cal Baptist, where he was a 2-time and a repeat NAIA champion and basically held every record, which has been broken by another guy, but him and his cousin Shamdu Rex Shop. And Cal Baptist had an NCAA schedule and an NAIA schedule. So everyone that played in the time period between 2003 and 2006 knows damn well who this guy is. Couldn't play AVP. It's not a domestic player, but ran roughshod in every single tournament he could. Finished 2nd and 3rd at the Pottstown Rumble with Mike Salick. East End Volleyball was always in the finals winning, always in the finals losing. And now he's back home coaching indoor boys volleyball and coaching indoor adult and coaching beach, just trying to raise awareness for not just Ghanese African players, but for the continent of Africa. Just trying to show the world scene, FIVB, and the recruiting scene for NCAA that Africa has some talent. And dude, I saw them play, and he is right. They are just, I don't have enough words. So Seydou Ajanako, I had a love-hate relationship with you for a long time. You've been quite the man-child when you don't get your way. But at the end of the day, man, when it comes to representing, when it comes to keeping your promises, and when it comes to doing the right thing for the sport of volleyball and for your team, got to give you a thumbs up. Let's do this. See if I could blow this up. I can't. There it is. That ball's outside the antenna. I picked the wrong highlight. Give me a break. But look at the size. Look at the athleticism. These guys are all in shape. Big up to Seydou, man. Robbie.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I was gonna say you gotta figure out how everything's going out there with him and COVID.
Yes.
And see how that response is going with him, and then how volleyball's been out there with COVID. So I'm interested.
Yeah, man. I was derelict in my duty to ask that. I talked to the guy for an hour and 20 minutes, and the one question that you asked is the one question I should have slipped in between all of that. So, Rob, you got me on your shame or no shame list, all right? So, man, God bless you for that. And hey, you're right. You got me. I can't believe I didn't ask that. I mean, as far as affording to manage the pandemic and vaccines and their situation, maybe I'll reach out to him later on. Maybe we'll talk about that, off the record and this and that. All right.
Definitely.
So, anything you want to say before we leave our audience for this episode, Rob?
Stay safe, stay happy, y'all.
Stay safe, stay happy. That is love from Rob. Keep it McLean. I think I got love for you guys too today. So for all of you at home, for all of you on the lunch line, for all of you on your iPads, for all of you on your desktop, for all of you on your Droid, for Rob, keep it McLean. This is episode 63 of Sports Debate Tuesday. I am Jason DeBillius. My brother, we're out. Come check out the Option Podcast on OptionVB.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.